So today I wanted to record something talking about surrender and what a powerful place it is to be in when you really let life bring you to your knees, right? I've found myself here multiple times in my life, and to be honest, these have been the most powerful spaces, is when life brings you to your knees and you're forced to let go of your ideas, of your plans, of your identities, who you thought you were going to be, where you thought you were going to go, what you thought was meant to happen. You only let go of it when you have no other choice, but you can be willing. You can be willing to be cracked open, and then when the cracking open happens, you almost just, you come down on your knees and you're like, this is beyond me. This is how I live my life now. I've had some incredible experiences while traveling. I've met people, we've connected, I've triggered deep emotions in others, and I just trust the process that is completely beyond me, that I meet people, and what happens, whether it's for my growth or their growth, whatever's meant to be happening, it will challenge the fuck out of you. But that's where true insight lies. You could call it healing, you could call it awakening, surrender, faith. It comes in the furnaces. It doesn't come from, the cozy spaces. Like today, right? I don't know where I'm going to next. Like, so much happened yesterday with people that I was around, and it was just like wow, this process is just completely beyond me. Like the people I meet and what happens, and just trusting that life is guiding me. And the only way that I have this trust is because life brought me to my knees, right? So, and it continues to. You just get more and more used to that being the way, that it's not a bad thing, right? We resisted so much at first, but that's what changes, is you surrender to the flow. And surrender to the flow doesn't mean the flow feels flowy. The flow could feel like absolute confusion, losing everything, not knowing. Again, like, traveling has been so good because I'm confronting this like day to day. Where am I gonna stay? Where am I gonna go next? And it's a real beautiful lesson, deep lesson in surrender and trust, and exposing myself to experiences that, you never feel ready for them, but you just throw yourself into them and you trust what comes out of it. Trust is what everything comes back to for me. That's all I do, is I just trust. There's no formulas, right? I make videos, I try to share techniques, approaches, but it all comes down to trust. And you can deepen your trust through meditation, through surrender, because you're letting go of kind of your needs to control life. You're surrendering to feeling, right? That's why meditation is so powerful, and stopping and not avoiding and not running is so powerful, because you're surrendering to feeling. What if I stop trying to control my experience? But there's different ways to do surrender as well, right? I spent a lot of time personally meditating. Now this trip is more like surrender into living. The start of the trip, I thought I was going to go spend like a month at a silent meditation center. Things changed, and I ended up on the island of Koh Phangan. It's so beautiful here. So that's where I'm at currently. And here, there's like crazy, like stuff happening. Ecstatic dances, like all these different kind of spiritual things. A lot of it looks like spiritual, like materialistic spirituality, but I've just immersed myself in it, and it's so different from like a silent meditation retreat. It's the complete opposite. It's like completely, dissolving into the music and deep connection and touch with people and all this kind of stuff. It's like the complete opposite to what I'm used to, and it's its own form of surrender. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Surrender can be when life asks us to be still, and surrender can be engaging in life with open arms. And still trusting your own resonance system. That's the thing, right? You surrender to an unfolding that you can't predict, but you are guided by your intuition. You are guided by, this feels inauthentic, so I need to remove myself from this situation. This feels right but scary, so I'm going to expose myself to this situation. That's what I want to point you back to, right? That's why I hate questions that say, is it time for me to go traveling? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm just sharing. In a one-on-one session, we can sometimes unpack it a bit, right? You'll come to, but still, even in that, I guide you to your answer. I'm not the, okay. Like, often I can pick it up again on a one-on-one session, like what's right for somebody, the way they're talking and what's happening in their life. It's like, okay, you're meant to go into this. But in a YouTube comment, when people ask like, should I be doing this, should I be doing that, man, I can't answer that, so I'm sorry. But yeah, the reason I recorded this video was just, I was reflecting on this full embodiment of faith and trust. That's what drives me now. I just let it take me where it takes me. Again, right, I still do what I feel like I want to do, but that's not what really is driving the show, right? I come down on my knees and I surrender to life, and I'm like, show me, take me where you need to take me. I don't know where that is. I don't know what you want me to do. And this kind of a surrender is powerful, and it doesn't play out how you expect. Like, I met someone recently and I really triggered some deep emotional wounds in them, and I feel like they probably, I was guided there for a reason, but my intuition was like, you probably sent out like an intention that I want to be healed, but healing doesn't play out how we expect, right? It might be life triggering you in a really intense way. But yeah, when life brings you to your knees, you have a beautiful space opening up for you. The space of surrender, faith, and trust. All those words kind of link together. And man, it's like the ego wants to fight it. The resistant self wants to fight it. But when you realize that you don't really know entirely what's best for you, or you're willing to, still do what feels right. It's that balance. I try to touch on this in videos. It's really this balance of like surrender and intuition. So you trust your intuition, but it's not always going to be clear. So then you make a decision. You either get it wrong. I've done this as well, right? Like, I was looking for accommodation recently, and I like panicked and got into like a 1 month deal in a place that immediately I was like, this is not a good idea to stay here for a month. And I spoke with a friend, and she was helpful. And I was like, why did you do that? And so then again, like, it's not like you make the right decision all the time. So I was just like, oh shit, okay. So then I got out of that pretty quickly, and it was a great lesson in to feel into things more than just like make panic decisions on the spot. That's just an example, just a sharing. Man, it's so beautiful, yeah. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share was, you try your best and you learn from what you don't get right. You try something, right? Whether that's somebody that's sick and it's like, I want to do more. Well, then you try something and maybe it flares things up for you. But that's learning in itself, right? Making the wrong decision. You learn to trust your internal decision-making system. Like, oh, this is what it feels like when I don't trust what feels right and I make a decision too much from the mind. That was my learning from this. Was like, that was what happens when I like make a rushed panic decision, as opposed to just trusting and surrendering that things will work out. The more you trust and surrender, the more amazing things can happen. Matt Garrett, I've mentioned him quite a few times. I think back to something he once said, which was like, you really have to leave a little bit of space for life to work its miracles. If you don't, if you plan everything, you try to control everything, you need to leave a little bit of space for the infinite to do some stuff. You need to have that faith, you need to have that trust, and it's powerful. Yeah. I've been reading a lot about Jesus' teachings recently, and something he said was like, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. I really like that. Yeah, so have a bit of faith. And faith comes from being on your knees, and life might force you there. So, yeah. All right, goodbye from Kopang Yang. Much love, and you've got this.